What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego back with some more boxing. Back with Ego's The Rundown. In this segment, I like to give you guys updates, answer questions that have been asked, and just kind of not focus on one particular topic, just encompass a whole bunch of different topics and give you a breakdown of my thoughts. So, first things first, Canelo versus Cotto. Canelo did a recent interview. He stated that he has his fingers crossed. The big fight that he wants is a Miguel Cotto fight. He says that Cotto needs him and he needs Cotto. They need each other, and that's the fight he's banking for. That he's looking forward to. Will it happen? We don't really know. Cotto is his own boss, and good thing about Cotto is he's a veteran. He's been there for multiple generations. Actually, he's fought long enough. He's seeing some of the younger prospects, but he was also around when other fighters were around and kind of in their prime. People like Zab Judah and other fighters. And he's at least worked to a level to the point where he can dictate and steer his own career. Other fighters like Pacquiao, unfortunately, they should be given the same right, but they're in a position where you have a boss. Bob Arum's your boss, but luckily for Cotto, he can kind of do like Mayweather does and pick his career path a little bit better. He has a working relationship with Top Rank, so he can go to HBO. He has a working relationship with Golden Boy. He can make a fight with them like he did in the Mayweather fight. Um, Top Rank did the Delvin Rodriguez fight. So Cotto has options. They offered him $10 million guarantee, but he's also thinking about other opponents, possibly Sergio Martinez. So we don't know if the Canelo Cotto would fight. In the meanwhile, they're also thinking about backup plans. Rumor has it they're thinking about a backup fight with if Cotto doesn't choose to fight Canelo at this moment. They're thinking about Canelo versus Alfredo Angulo or Canelo versus Carlos Molina. Now, I would much rather see Canelo versus Angulo, and here's why. Angulo, he's not the best boxer in terms of he's going to give you this slick movement or get in there like Rigondeaux or Lara or somebody, but he can hit. He knows how to crack. He can cut off the ring. He has a chin like where he's going to keep coming forward. He's going to apply that pressure. So for Canelo being a young fighter, I want to see how he looks in there against a different style. Somebody who is possibly stronger than him. Somebody who's going to cut off the ring. Just more or less a pressure fighter, a Ruslan Provodnikov fight. And I like that for really all fighters. I like to see them face different styles and see how they fare. As far as the Carlos Molina fight, from a business perspective, that fight makes sense. I personally don't really want to see it. Carlos Molina has a very awkward, tricky style, and he didn't look great in his last fight against Ishe Smith. So I think it's going to be a dull fight. But from a business standpoint, it's Golden Boy's way to get Canelo back into a title shot, into a belt potentially if he beats Carlos Molina. So from a business perspective, it makes sense. But from a fan friendly type of fight perspective, it's just not really a fight I want to see. If Carlos Molina does have a fight with another fighter for a title shot, I'd rather see a James Kirkland rematch. James Kirkland looked great against Glenn Tapia, and I think it'll provide for a more interesting fight. Kirkland has said some things. He says he owes Molina an ass whooping, so there's some built up animosity based on how the first fight ended, just some unfinished business. So me personally, I'd rather see Canelo versus Angulo, and if they're gonna make a Carlos Molina title fight, a fight with James Kirkland. He looked solid, really good in his last fight. Other than that, Canelo's in Texas. His brother will be fighting on the Adrian Broner Marcos Maidana undercard, so he's out there supporting. And in other news, Terrence Crawford versus Ricky Burns. That fight will be taking place February 8th in Glasgow, Scotland. I'm sorry. Got a text. But yeah, that's an interesting fight. I want to see it. Of course, Terrence Crawford is Ricky Burns mandatory, so the fight was made. As far as Terrence Crawford, very slick, slippery fighter. He shows a lot of poise for being such a young fighter. He has the defense down. Um, he can switch to southpaw, which is unique. Not everyone can switch to southpaw and almost look better than their orthodox stance. And he beat Danny Garcia in the amateurs. He's just a young, hungry prospect, and I look forward to seeing more of him. He fought Bradis Prescott at 140. I thought he looked very clinical in that fight. that was a weight that he wasn't familiar with, so uncharted territory against a big puncher. So I was really impressed with that performance. And then his last opponent, didn't really want to engage. I forgot the dude's name, but just an overall solid performance. Good pickup for Cameron Duncan in Top Rank. I like the kid, Terrence Crawford. As far as Ricky Burns, never really been high up on Ricky Burns. I think he ducked a lot of people, like like very flagrantly ducked him. Broner called him out at 35. Broner called him out at 35, and he acted like he didn't hear him. It's like someone's yelling for you to get out the car, like, get out the car, I'm going to beat your ass. And then you just roll up the window and act like you don't hear him. You know what I'm saying? So I didn't really like that move. Then the fight with Miguel Vasquez was scheduled. Vasquez got sick. He ate some food in Mexico or something crazy. Got the stomach virus, and he was still willing to fight. It just had to be postponed. Ricky Burns pulled out of the fight entirely. Then Ricky Burns fought Beltran, and I thought Beltran gave him that work, and broke his jaw, and he was awarded with a victory. So just not really a huge Ricky Burns fan. I think there's a lot of people at 35 that could possibly beat him. And just for a champion, why do you not want to fight Vasquez? Why do you not want to fight Broner? Now Broner's already moved up in weight, so who knows if that fight will ever take place. Just looks like he's kind of a scared champ. Looking forward to the Terrence Crawford fight. Again, Ricky Burns, I'm not too high up on him, but he's solid. He's been at that championship level fighting, so he has more professional experience than Terrence Crawford. So interesting matchup. I'll definitely watch it. Could be a good boxing event. Then it looks like Juan Manuel Marquez is saying that it's either a Timothy Bradley fight, rematch, or retire. Personally, I'm just getting a little annoyed with this. I don't know what it is, but in the last couple of years, I've seen a number of fighters who threaten to retire. It's just like, fuck, just retire or don't retire. Fighters are like, oh, if I lose to this person, I'm going to retire. If this person beats me, I'm going to quit, or I'm retiring. I think David Haye said it, possibly retired, kind of retired. Maybe Chris Arreola versus Seth Mitchell. I think one of those dudes said, if I lose to this opponent, I'm going to retire. It's just like, I don't know. I guess I'm not big on petty threats. Just, if you're going to retire, fucking retire. Someone also asked me about Sean Porter. What do I think of his win? And congratulations, Sean Porter. He deserved it. He earned it. He avenged his loss or his draw. So it's half win, half loss. But he avenged his draw with Julio Diaz. He made it look like easy work the second time. Julio Diaz gave Amir Khan a tough fight at a catch weight. So it wasn't like Diaz was super shot to the point where the win didn't matter. And then Sean Porter most recently obviously fought Devin Alexander and handedly whipped that ass and beat him. And Devin Alexander is a slick fighter who I thought might even be able to stay out of trouble. But Sean Porter just got to him. High work rate, volume, just mugging him. And I didn't know who was going to win the fight. I didn't even get a chance to do a prediction video. But good, Sean Porter. He, like I said, he deserves it. He's young, he's hungry, and that's what it's all about. And for the fighters who call like Rigondeaux or Mayweather boring or whatever the situation is, look at it like this. Devin Alexander is the same type of fighter in the sense of he's going to use brains over brawn in most occurrences. Like, he's not going to just get super reckless. He's a good boxer. He's a slick boxer. He's a southpaw. And Sean Porter was able to cut off the ring on him, mug him, give him that high work rate, and do what he had to do to win the fight. So the people were like, oh, Rigondeaux sucks. He's really weak and all that. Hey, he's making boring fights. No, look at who's his opponent, what they're choosing to do. Egbeko could have made that an interesting fight. However, he never let his hands go. You're not going to win against a Rigondeaux at that slow of a pace without taking any risk. It's just not going to happen. How the fuck you're getting your life pot shot out of the way? How are you going to beat Rigondeaux when he's beating you in speed, he's beating you with accuracy, and you're afraid to take a risk, you're afraid of the counter. So same thing with the Sean Porter. Sean Porter was hungry, he took the risk, and maybe Devin Alexander didn't have enough power for him to respect it, but for whatever reason, he fought the fight at a pace that would benefit him, came out with the victory, and now he's a world champion. So that's really all I got to say to the people who are like, oh, this boxer's boring, Laura's boring, or whatever. it's your opportunity and your job to make it your type of fight. Do like you look at Edeslandi Lara versus Angulo. That was a much tougher fight for Lara than the Austin Trout fight. He clearly outboxed the shit out of Austin Trout, but Angulo, who is not known for being the most finesse boxer, was able to make it a tougher fight and knock him down twice. So you can attribute it all to power, but it was obviously Angulo and Virgil Hunter had a great game plan. They stuck to it, and they knew what their fighter needed to do to make it an interesting fight, and that's exactly what it was, because that was an exciting fight. That was on the Marcos Maidana Josesito Lopez undercard, and I thoroughly enjoyed both of those fights. So really, it's about game plan. It's about how you approach situations, using your strengths to your benefit, and taking your opponent out of their game plan. Last, I want to talk about Andre Ward. He seems very hard to beat in the ring, but outside of the ring, it looks like he's taking L's in the courtroom. He's re-suing Dan Goossen, and he says you don't own me and all kinds of stuff like that. So we'll see how this unfolds. But someone wanted me to, I guess, bring it up. It's not really much to bring up. It has to go through the court proceedings, and I'm not a judge, so it's not really much I have to say on it. It's his battle. He doesn't like his contract. He's trying to get out of his contract. I mean, it's not really much else that I can say. But that answers really all the questions that I had that I can remember, the updates. So make sure you guys stay tuned for the next Egos Rundown. As always, hate, comment, or subscribe. Till next videos, Ego signing off.